Hey, Jared.
What's up, Glen?
Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, right. There's always something going on with you, man.
Just waiting around.
Waiting around.
I got this hint that tomorrow was supposed to be an important day, but I have no knowledge of what's in store, so I just put the date on today.
I see that's your strategy for a lot of things. It's almost like what's in the end of the you wait and things come to you.
Well, they try to make me cry wolf.
Yeah.
I don't fall for it. But at the same time, I have to be careful and not just glance over things just in case something is brewing.
Like what you said what might happen in April, is it? March?
Yeah, from February 23rd to April 14th.
So like I could basically just expect a 40-story tsunami.
Anything is possible when you're in the window.
No. You know what it is? I don't want to. It's like, damn, what a waste it would be. I think to at least get this far, learn this much, and for everything just to be destroyed. I mean, I wanna try to prevent it.
We do what we can.
Yeah.
And in the end, the bad guys have their finger on the button, and creation can stop it. But by stopping it, it may stop much more than we would want.
Yeah. Have you spoken to anybody? Anybody new?
There was a woman who called about a week ago, left a message saying that she knew you.
Yeah, she told me she tried calling you, but
I wasn't here, and I don't have a budget to call people back. So
yeah.
I'm not here. They got to try again.
Yeah. So, yeah, right now I'm going through this book, Pilgrim's Progress. And it's all about this guy's journey to the celestial city, Mount Zion. Yeah. And they show you in there, they have to go to outer space. That's the whole allegory I saw in there.
Outer space?
The celestial city, that's...
Usually they're mirror imaged.
What do you mean?
So when they say look up, you should be looking down.
Yeah. Yeah. They always... It's like a fake out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just doing that. I've been Dana was telling me how you wanted to something about a conference call or something like that. Or?
Well, I told him when he asked me what he should do, I said, whatever you decide to do, that's what you decide to do. I'm not here to basically tell anybody what to do. Mm-hmm. If you guys have a meeting and you need some questions answered and you think I can answer them, then, you can arrange a conference call. But the thing to remember is the cell doesn't like me to make pre-arranged appointments for calls.
Oh, why is that? I thought like a meeting somewhere would be dangerous because
Well, it's basically because they believe somebody can start tracking that I'm at a certain place at a certain time.
Oh.
So it's not the one call that's the problem. It's the repeat calls at the same time.
If I was to do that, I don't think I'd plan with you. So I would just, it would be random. I would just call.
Yeah.
Or,
That's the best thing.
Yeah.
Because it's that they have to organize what they do at their end.
Mm-hmm.
If there's going to be something on a regular basis, then they have to have people out here watching.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, they have to have trackers on the net and trackers on the phone and what have you to see how this is all being coordinated.
Mm.
I know who the culprits are.
I bet.
TELUS,
Yeah.
Yahoo.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever heard any cases like people that you talk to, if they're being like monitored?
I think everybody is being monitored now.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like
only a matter of computers being large enough and capable enough.
I'm thinking, computers like they just see your daily activity on the net, but we're talking about like a van parked on your corner or something.
You got in the U.S. alone 16 agencies that spy on people.
Yeah.
So, add to that the telephone companies, the cable companies, the satellite dish companies, anybody that has a device is being monitored. Now, the extent of the monitoring depends on basically the profile built up over time. The monitoring can be as simple as word recognition down to voice recognition, where no matter where the person is, excuse me, his voice is recognized as soon as he or she begins to speak.
I think if you're getting monitored, that means you're doing a good job. If you're getting monitored, it means you're doing a good job.
Well, if you're getting monitored, you know that the people who are running the system are basically concerned about your activity. I mean, I can't go on the net and do any regular business. And as I've told you, the neighborhood has had additional bell wires put in and antennas and whatever. So
like, even if you were to get like a brand new computer,
doesn't matter.
Oh, because they did something in like the actual.
They pre-plan it. Yeah. Everything is already in the computer, and it's basically all hidden behind gates. And as they focus in on a person, they'll open up the gate, and some activity that has been pre-planned now starts to operate. That's basically what they do. Everything, they don't need to add things into the computer. Everything's built in by Apple and Microsoft and all of those people. Now, over time, you can learn how to lock the gate again. And when you lock the gate, that pisses them off because they have to come back and open it, And you lock it again, and they open it.
Good game.
Yeah, the games.
Tag.
Gates plays.
Oh man. So yeah, hopefully, Glenn, I could get this. It's like my time was just cut in half. Hopefully, I can get over there before the end of February. Now, is that what it's looking like? Oh man.
I'm just listening. I still believe that the preferred date is November 11th, 2011. But now that I've been talking about it, that is subject to change. But, sometimes they want to show that, they're smart and tough and they can handle this and do it when they want, not when you force them to, type of thing. So,
what do you think they meant, though, from that movie, 2010? Because 2001, 9/11 happened.
No,
yeah.
It would be a great thing to do to get the masses prepared for the year after you're going to do something.
Okay. But 9/11 didn't happen like that. They actually told you when it was going to happen. And
so 2011 now means that it may happen in 2010. We know basically that Olympics are a way they use to loot a basic area. And I think they've got all the tickets that they want sold for the Olympics in Vancouver. And it wouldn't surprise me that something would happen just before the closing ceremonies in Vancouver. The Cascade Mountains aren't too far away. The tsunamis that come off the ocean that they warn you in Oregon about are always a possibility. They've had so much rain in that area for the last month or so. I don't know if they'll have any snow for the Olympics. Still have a month to go, but the temperature has been in the 8-9 degrees Fahrenheit, and certainly snow doesn't hang around long at that temperature.
Yeah, a friend sent me a video. It was like some Christian talk show or whatever, where the guy was talking about like end times, and it's so it was depressing listening to that guy, because he was like, it's like there will be a new earth and a new heaven, and it'll be like a big ball of fire type of thing. Like he was like welcoming like his own destruction. We will go with God, His chosen people, and that stuff really like just depresses me. Watching this willing fools. This
God is not even going on this trip. The two computers are taking over if you let them. God is just the top dog among the troglodytes there, the Moho bunch, and they're not invited. They thought, humans would be destroyed and they would survive. But what would a computer want to have a bunch of arrogant people who want to be adored along for the ride?
I thought the computer just followed orders and carried them out to perfection. But I guess it's too perfect, right?
As perfect as one can be by having knowledge, computers can handle that task. they are also in a position to scientifically relaunch life on the planet. So
how could you give something else that, like, I know these Neanderthals, they were power hungry, and people who crave power, they're usually scared of giving power out. How could they just give it all to a machine?
Well, none of them had the power. Each one had a piece of the power.
Oh.
And they simply were linked up and their piece of the power downloaded. So the computers always are the ones that end up with the assembled power. It's the principle of a critical mass.
Yeah. That's interesting.
It is the totality of the knowledge that gives the power, not the individual knowledge on one particular topic.
Yeah, thinking about knowledge is interesting. Is that it's like relative. It's always growing. It's never stagnant. It's always changing, growing to something else. Like one thing, one era we might think we know something about a topic, and then 1,000 years later we'll find that there's actually more to it than that.
But imagine if you had a computer 100,000 years ago, and you kept putting into the computer everything you believed to be true, and the computer would match it up with all it knew, and it would say, okay, I can hang on to this piece, or no, that's garbage, throw that out. And had 6 billion people working for the computer, gathering up information. And every time the Olympics came, it got an update on all the construction of a human body. How a thigh has to be built to make a high jump higher. How an arm can throw a spear further. All of that information gets put into the computer every 4 years. And then you got Pulitzer Prizes and Nobel Prizes, and everything that's known gets put in because people turn it in for a prize. They're looking for a gold medal, or they're looking for a $1 million check from Nobel.
That's what people are. They're almost like dogs in a sense. They just want that biscuit, that little pat on the back, scratch.
Not realizing in the end that what they're doing is providing data leading to their own destruction.
Like, sometimes I gotta laugh at it, how stupid people are. We all are. So, since we all have a piggy in the back, and that's linked to the computer, that means everything like information that we retrieve, it goes directly back to the computer, right?
Yeah.
Wow, so it's gaining all, I guess, the experiences and
well, obviously the piggy in the neck is not perfect because they're working on a system where piggy will be monitored 24/7.
Oh, they can't. So it's not monitored for us.
Right at this stage of the game, it's not being monitored on a minute-by-minute basis the way they plan to do it in the super slave they send out in space. At this stage of the game, it's only monitored to the extent that it basically makes people feel worse or feel better, depending on the decisions that they're making, how they react to the the drugs they get from
that's what
doctors and all of that stuff.
So all those drugs, like psychiatry,
yeah,
and the whole medical profession, they're actually linked to like the medulla to manipulate.
Yeah. Oh. Plus all the images you see on TV that are either seen by your eyes and put into your brain, or heard by your ears and basically manufactured by your brain. And then these things create fears or joys, whatever.
Yeah, I noticed too in the world, in the media world, good movies, like a lot of the movies, they have to put violence in them. And I'm thinking this is because they obviously, bred killers and those types of people from, I guess, previous DNA. And these movies and video games that have all this violence, this is to probably, like, trigger something?
It could certainly be a trigger if you have the recessive gene that responds to that stuff.
Oh.
But it's more likely, the violence thing is more likely to get people to be immune to other people dying. So it doesn't have the same impact on the person when they hear about somebody dying than it would if they hadn't been basically made immune over time.
And I think, too, because it's like war. We're at war.
Yeah.
So they want that type of people. And so, yeah, that's always the answer. Like, I don't know, man. I guess there are people, like, you hear people in the media talking about it, like, oh, kids, violence and video games, but
you see, it also works on both sides, because if the controllers are losing a war, they can get people to go against the winners of the war. Like if your country was winning in Pakistan, and they didn't want you to win in Pakistan, they could start a process of counting the bodies of soldiers that died in the way they did in Iraq, to turn people off of being there. In Iraq, at the beginning, it was fine because you sent all the money. And once the money got there, they wanted you out. So that's when CNN started a body count on Lou Dobbs' show every night.
Oh, Lou Dobbs got, like, everybody. He got some people started up on the North American Union. He was the one that, like, I guess was given the privilege of opening that story to the masses. And all the patriotic people, conspiracy people, they all...
Patriot. Think of it, it has the word riot in it.
And Pa.
Yeah, Pa's riot.
And transmission.
A pat on the back, or a tap backwards, so you open up the tap for or against something using patriots.
Yeah,
get the tap to start the riot.
Yeah, as when you observe and analyze, you start noticing, like, every little thing, like little sayings people say, like they have
an ulterior motive.
Yeah, like I hear people say, I came from nothing. I came from the dirt, man. I came from nothing. I'm like, wow, we really did come from the dirt. People say as an expression that they, because they work hard. But
that's because they're not allowed to say I came from shit.
Some people say that too. I came from shit.
Yeah, that's basically where they came from. Coprolite, fossilized shit, and hey, it's part of the journey.
Yeah.
But they'll tell you, now it's time to go back, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Live in a world that acts like a toilet.
So, I'm looking too. I look like in the Middle East. I look for like powerful figures in like the Middle East. I know it's like Saudi Arabians. They seem to have a lot of.
Most of the people with the largest amount of power, you never hear their names.
Yeah.
They go under monikers like Iminas Gris. Basically means someone in the background that you never hear of, who has the power to make things happen. As soon as people become public, their power is limited because there are too many people watching.
Yeah.
But when they're not public, they can act in a totally different way from the average.
Oh yeah, like Donald Rumsfeld. He was out, he was doing his thing. Then he became popular.
Yeah.
Now you don't hear about him at all.
So quietly, he nominated the current Secretary of Defense, who replaced him, and he did it in a sneaky fashion. He was then able to move out of the limelight and nominate his replacement and make it look like these two have no connection whatsoever.
Oh man, that's a free and open society, right?
Yeah.
Have you spoke to Tom lately?
Haven't heard from him in a couple of weeks, I guess it is now. Two weeks probably. I don't think he'd be calling much if he's planning his return.
Oh yeah. I think when I call you, man, when I plan to come there, I don't know how I'll do it. I want to do it with...
Just don't mention my name at the border.
Oh, hell no. I don't even know you anymore. But, yeah, I'm just, that, man. Like, those border people are funny. Like, 1 minute they'll be all over you, and sometimes they won't even pay attention to who you are. Like a hit or miss type of thing.
Hang on a second. There's a cat playing with my computer. Get off of that keyboard. He was typing a message
Cat?
On the keyboard.
Who do you think he was trying to communicate with?
Well, I got to go to the other side to read the screen. Just hang on a second. Yeah, they've brought up a little doggy on the screen.
Doggy?
Yeah, it says, what do you want to search for? Pictures, music, or video?
oh yeah, I have that.
And there's a little dog at the bottom. Change your preference.
I remember reading an older article that you had. It was pretty interesting how you said it was somebody, I think, Will Hart, and I think it was Will Hart, but it was basically like a journalist who found like there was a conspiracy of, like mainstream scientists were trying to like hide, like, because they had artifacts that they dug up that proved that humanity was older than what the mainstream.
I don't even remember that, Jerk.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Oh, yeah, because in it you said, they said, yeah, that was so long ago. I don't expect you to remember. But in it they said that like they found that there were Caucasian people living in Asia before Asians, before the yellow Asians they call them, and
I don't know anything about that.
Oh, well, it was
It's always possible that Yahoo or somebody like that went through my archives and changed things. But if you find a date or the article, let me know, and I'll go back and look. But I have no memory of that at all.
Yeah, it was. Well, I thought it was an interesting article.
See, I've never had basic access to my archives. That's been my problem on the net from the beginning, because I don't come into this with computer knowledge, and therefore there always was someone else handling that part of it, a webmaster of one kind or another.
Oh, so you've never like been able to go in your own like review what you?
No. I can look at things if I know what I want to look for, but I certainly don't have the time to go back and read 10,000 different postings. So, and if I do, and I see something that I don't recognize, I have no way of changing it or deleting it or whatever. Google had that power over me when my site was on Google. Then it was in the hands of a couple of webmasters along the way. I only basically deal with today. I post things, and then they're out of my hands. The system from the military on down has much more power to go and change anything that I do. And that's, of course, the same for anybody that's not computer literate, that doesn't handle the thing from beginning to end. There are some people who can basically set up a website and control it from their own home without even going through anybody else's computer. Here, with Bell Canada setting up a second computer and taking over possession of my name and address and making me a local outlet on their computer, I have no guarantees that I ever am the first one to see anything that is sent to me.
I had a friend who had a program that but you would have to like work with him. Like he would do this program where like you would let him into your computer and he could see everything that's going on in your computer.
Well, that's what webmasters do. Every webmaster in the world goes into your computer, and they're not going into your computer by magic. They have a formula that all of them understand. So, somebody at one of the 16 spy agencies can basically do that with their hands tied behind their back, basically, because they do it every day.
So yeah, Canada. So Canada's the second Canada, the land of milk and honey.
Yeah. Canada has 3 Ka's in it. It's ka.
Triple 3 in 1 kaka.
Yeah. Because an N can be turned sideways.
Mm.
So that gives you the second one, ka. Na becomes ka.
Mm-hmm.
And da, because the letter is linked as the penultimate letter, you go back from the one that's there, so the D becomes a C, if you understand what I mean. That makes ka. So I don't know if there are anybody in the world, if there is anybody in the world with ka.
Mm.
But California has 1 ka in it. Kabbalah has 2 Ka's in it. If there's 2 L's, I guess you can basically call that a C. If you put the 2 L's together, it makes a big U and you turn it sideways. So that may be 3 Ka's. But I suspect that there must be a 4th Ka someplace. Ka. Everything is based upon the net product at the end. The human has a net product at the end called shit. And in the dictionary, they call it excrement. For humans, that is the least valuable thing they own. But for the controllers of our system,
it says it's the mirror.
It's the most valuable thing we own.
So the most thing of value people see today is money. And for the system, that's the least.
The least valuable.
As above, so below?
It's very much in the sense of an insurance company wants to acquire the infrastructure of a nation. And it does it by lending money to the government. But the people, they don't even think about owning the infrastructure. They just want to use it. So it's 2 groups approaching the problem, one for the short term and one for the long run. And if you own the infrastructure of a country, you own the country.
Yeah.
So insurance companies are basically the real power, and you never hear about them as power. But in fact, they are the eminence grise, the power behind the throne. And that's why the police work for them and manufacture false reports so that you'll sign a ticket to get out of the problem you're in, but that's only the beginning.
Oh, yeah, when people cop out in court. They cop out, yeah. That's what their system, they know people will do that. Because most of the time, when you get a ticket, you can beat it in court if you want to take the time. But they know people just want to pay it and get on with their lives.
The minute they pay for it, that information is then used by the system for things that you never could even imagine.
Really? you learned this from your experience.
All of the things I know, I've learned from my experience. I am told things that happen to other people, and most of the time, I don't believe it until such time as an experience in my own life proves it to be correct.
That's like with this information I've been learning. It's like it's like when you learn something, people say, okay, you know, this is, you know, like with the stuff you're saying, a lot of people say, no, it's not true. But for me, it's like I know it's true. It's not
Yeah, because you have it. You have it in your spine, and you've accessed it, and you feel it, and it's intuitive.
That's why, like with me, it's intuitive with this stuff, but I guess it's not good enough for.
No, you got to bring the intuition into your reason.
Yeah, I know I do that, but like when you talk to other people, it's like something they have, and I know like with other people, I see like if I mention it to them, it sounds crazy, but I don't know, I have that feeling that all it is just it's the knowledge. It's inside them. It's just they just don't know it.
Yeah. Well, there are two types of people you will speak to. There are those people who don't know anything you're talking about, and therefore for them it can't be true.
Yeah.
And then there are the other people who know what you're talking about is true, but for one reason or another, they have to deny that it's true. And that can be, for the simple reason that once they accept it's true, then it moves on to the next step. They have a responsibility to do something, and they don't want the responsibility, so therefore they deny. Other people want security, and they find that security in joining religion. And in order to be in religion, part of their duties is to accept information on faith alone. And therefore, no matter what you tell them, they won't change their mind because they've been programmed to believe without reason. Then you have the smaller group that's basically paid to tell you you're a liar. There are some of those on the net.
Oh yeah, I got one guy, right? I'm looking at his email right now. Like I'll send him, because he'll send me emails, and I'll just respond like I'll send you a post or something, right? And he'll just send. Look what he says right here. He goes, I have no affinity with evil now. Evil is death. Life is good. I love life. I love good. Being in a mental institution is bad. Being sane is good. I hate evil and I love good. We are friends because we love good and despise evil. I don't have any power over plausibility, deniable weapons. And
what he believes is good is equal to instant gratification.
He's thinking in like a Zoroastrian type of thing.
If there's a problem, if he has to do some work in order to define something, he puts that in the category of evil.
Yeah.
It's the same thing if you think of a guy who walks into physics class and he doesn't understand it. So he walks out in the hallway and says, all physicists are stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a task to admitting something is possible. That task falls upon you to do some searching. And the lazy people don't want to go through that process.
Yeah, and this same person, right? He told me. He goes, wealth is good, poverty is evil, and he goes, I am part of Jerusalem Freemasonry. The light is good, so the light is good, darkness is bad. I'm just like, what? These are the things that I see in people, like on the net, like
he has pigeonholed.
Yeah, himself.
Everything.
Yeah, it's sad. And another person I see on the internet too, like I know people who are into. I mean, I don't know him personally, but from what I see, in on the net, like I know one person. Like there's like a group of, it's like a community out there that call themselves like witches, and they're all into the, like the old pagan religion, and I don't know. Like I try to explain to them, hey, these all this religion, all this, even the paganism, was all created by priests for you to believe in. Like, what's the sense in worshiping, nature? And
yeah.
I mean, I don't see any sense in it. But
you got to remember, Jared, that there's no such thing as only black and white.
Oh yeah, that's a logic in a box you're putting yourself into by even thinking like that. Gray
is relative.
Yeah.
It depends on the situation. The Jewish people have this story about Anne Frank, and it brings to mind things during the war, and one would have to say, okay, lying is bad, and that's black and white. But if someone came to your door dressed like a Nazi and had a gun in his hand and was looking for a little Jewish girl that they wanted to kill, and you had that little girl hidden in your attic or in your closet or whatever, if telling the guy at the door that you don't know where she is, or that she's not at your place, technically speaking, that's a lie. Does that mean it falls into the category of bad? Black is black, white is white? Or really what you're doing is not for your personal benefit? As a matter of fact, it might put you in some danger by not telling the guy at the door the whole story, because if he searches and finds the person, you're in trouble. But that's always what has to be considered. When you're talking, is it for self-serving reasons, or is it the bigger picture?
Yeah, that whole black and white thinking. Like, I don't know if you remember when George Bush Sr., when he goes, this is good and evil, right and wrong. This guy talking to millions of people to, believe in this type of thinking. But that's, that's how I guess we're brought up to think that way.
That's religion.
Yeah.
Religion is pigeonholing.
But they never see the religious people. They never, like all the religions, like they always see the other person as evil and their inner circle is good.
Sit in a tavern and try to find somebody who will say, I'm drunk.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
Same thing as going to church. Sit in a church and try to find a person in church who says, this is spiritual, therefore it's got to be the same as spirits, So I'll put it on a shelf with Scotch rye beer, gin, and vodka.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. Yeah. They make up their own definition, and they stick to it. And what they're looking for in the long run is instant gratification.
Yeah,
don't give me a problem. Don't cost me any money. Don't make my life more difficult than it has to be. And you could replace all of that with me, myself, and I.
Yeah, well, that's the whole West, you know, instant gratification. Like, it's funny, like, when I see people, like in, like, people that I know, who know me, and if I see them, it's like, sometimes I feel like, because I see them making mistakes that are so obvious, like, you could just prevent it. I guess that's the wisdom you learn, but it's mistakes that and if you try to point, it's like you don't even, it's like I'm a ghost in a sense.
Yeah.
When I'm around, it's like I'm there, but I'm not there with them. Cause,
I have the same problem all the time. You know, why bother, people say, why bother telling the police that they're agents for insurance companies and they're stealing from the people? Why bother? Yeah. And I said, because it's true.
It fits in reality.
It has nothing to do with how comfortable that's going to make me or uncomfortable that's going to make me. It's true. Yeah. And if that means they want to cause me trouble because I've said it, I'll take the trouble. Thank you. You know, if somebody wants to kill me because of the things I say, I'll take death over shutting up when I see something that's really out of hand. Yeah. And the world is out of hand right now.
Tell me about it.
Everything's in the hands of people who are simply looking to make their life better.
Yeah, man, I'm so sick of it. I'm so, like, and Bika telling me, like, she was talking to a friend, and he tried to explain, like, you know, that it was, I guess, basically say that the picture was bigger than that, and the person tried getting, you know, confrontational, I guess, getting defense. She's like, wow, I can't talk to anybody about anything anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there are not that many people left who are prepared to take on the problem when it's this big.
Even the people who are aware, like, people, like, that I see, like on a forum that I have, there's people on there, you know, like, they know this, but then they still deny it, like, I don't understand. Maybe that piggy in the back really is effective or something, or like they think.
I've been in an elevator with a policeman in a courthouse, and I've told the policeman that in fact he was defending the wrong side of the argument, and he said, "I know, Mr. Kealey. Everybody knows you're right. We know, but we got children. We got to send them to school.
We got
to pay the mortgage."
They don't. But
excuse me.
They don't see the whole big picture because they don't know. Because if they did know, they wouldn't be doing what they know. I guess they know in that sense. Yeah, you're right. But like, do they realize how in the end nobody wins? No.
Yeah. They're the cause of the problem. The problem doesn't exist if people stop thinking that way. Yeah. Because there would be nobody out servicing the needs of the controllers. Yeah. But because everybody wants to make their life as simple and as easy as possible, the end product is everybody's life is worse off. And, you know, I'm not a pacifist. I actually accept the fact that at some time there has to be destruction. In the same way as when you look at suicide bombers, we had suicide bombers in my life
Mm-hmm.
when I was just a baby.
Mm-hmm.
They were called kamikazes.
Mm.
And they solved the problem of kamikazes not by trying to catch one at a time, but by going to the kamikaze's hometown and dropping a nuclear bomb on it. And that happened twice. And everybody said, hey, I'm going to stop this. Why are they not doing the same thing on a valley in Pakistan called,
because they run the show down in the Middle East. They're
because they have a benefit to gain from not doing it. The benefit they gain in the system is creating stress.
And they get to control more people.
Yeah. The more stressed people are, the more they're willing to give up whatever it is they have.
Yeah, it's like one guy who mentioned that he was a supposed truth seeker or whatever. His name was Aaron Russo, and he's like, people make a lot of, people glorify this guy. And he said that he was friends with one of the Rockefellers, and Rockefeller told him before 9/11, this is what he claims. It's like, oh yes, soon there will be it'll be a great business. It'll be an enemy that they'll never be able to find. And he didn't know.
Soon there will be a cleansing of those people.
Yeah, but this guy Aaron Russo, he died a little while after that of cancer. But he went out in this whole big campaign of income tax and everything. But then I realized, this guy was, you can't be friends with people like that and just leave them. And like, he was in a circle, he was in a circle of people, because he made a lot of money too. And he directed a movie called Trading Places. And then you gotta look at his name, Aaron Russo,
Yeah. Aaron was
the high priest, Moses'
brother.
Yeah, and his last name Russo. Oh man, that was so. Especially when I started breaking down names, and I realized that. Yeah. I was like, wow, man. He's people still to this day, they still glorify the guy.
Yeah. The minute they had a sister that pointed the finger at them. She died. A little help from their friends.
Yeah. So the West is instant gratification because we're the way we are thinking, it's yet we're free in a sense because we had to do that job of going out to outer space, but yet the logic of people in the West is right to left to right type of thing. It's not they can see only in the tunnel. They can't see around.
Well, it's because they're like in a canoe in the middle of the ocean, and they haven't got a clue where they've been. And therefore,
all they know is where they're going to outer space.
Can't set a plan to go anywhere, so they just bob around, waiting for some passing ship to pick them up.
Yeah, and I remember when you said there was a post that you put. It's called Word Bound. And it was about how people just put themselves in boxes with these words. And somebody mentioned, I posted it on social network. Somebody mentioned to me. They said, yeah, that's why people don't understand what they're saying in Buddhism, because Buddhism is like the West, but the total opposite. The non-linear of the West is linear, and that's why you can't understand the concepts that they're saying.
Well, if a bud is a simple thing to grasp.
Yeah.
It's in French it's called a sillon, which I'm sure is the basis of the word Zion. A sillon is basically a cutting. You take a cutting and you graft it on a plant, and it grows into a different plant. That's what's happening in our world today.
That's what Buddhism.
Yeah.
Because it did do that. It sprouted like unbelievable. Yeah.
It was a cutting out of the Brahmins of India. Not an accident they're talking about men with bras. And they made a cutting that would be sent out into the world to pacify us. Love thy neighbor. Love thy,
the love religion.
Love everybody.
Love.
No matter how stupid they are. No matter how violent they are. No matter how control freaks they are.
Yeah.
And my point of view is, no. Accept everybody as an equal until they show that they're not.
But nobody's equal. And even that word, like, the word,
yeah, but it's a place in the middle where you begin.
Yeah, I guess.
And let them show you who they are.
Yeah, people show me who they are. It's people, right, who are just hypocrites, and they prove it over and over. They'll say one thing and then just contradict themselves. And just that every day. Every day I see some, like, hypocritical bullshit.
Well, you don't have to look very far in language to point out.
I should call them ducks, right? What, those type of people, right?
Hypocrites follow Hippocratic oaths. And Hippo was a place in North Africa where the doctors of the Christian church came from. And if you look at a map of the world very carefully, the southwest corner of France is shaped like the face of a hippo.
Yeah, France, you said, it's interesting, that place. You said that they were like, they work two sides, like they,
two-faced.
Yeah. Oh, another, is bisexual is another way, another term?
Eh?
And you call them bisexual, meaning, like Iago, they were like number 9, they were like, they just played both sides.
I don't call them bisexual. You would have to be a person to be bisexual.
Yeah, but
I call them hypocrites because that's what they tell me they are. Not only do they act like hypocrites, but they have designed their country to create the face of a hippo. They've made it the second face on that peninsula at the southwest corner of Europe, where Portugal is the first face. Spain is the head behind that first face, and then it's followed by France, which has the face of a hippo. So they're telling me that they are two-faced and hypocritical. I was raised in French, and I can guarantee you that's true. But I can also guarantee you that there are not too many places in the world that aren't hypocritical.
Yeah,
most of them don't go out and prove it every day.
Yeah, the French, they're the ones who watch American shows and then go complain about it. Yeah, and then you have but they're supposedly supposed to be like able, and Germany is the other side, because you said they were both part.
Cain and Abel.
Yeah.
Cain is the builder, and Abel is the musician, the professional, the artist in the background who complains all the time, but does nothing of any significance except to help the system become worse. How many people in the world of acting are in fact trying to help the world? No. Whenever the world sets up a scam, such as merging the different races by creating slavery, then you get a whole bunch of people within the media who run out to adopt children and bring them in their family, and pretend they're doing that for the betterment of the child.
Yeah, you always see them, the actors, oh yes, we're donating so-and-so money to some big scam corporation that's going to use it for something else.
It all has to do with what their agents tell them they need to do in order to satisfy the needs of the system that pays their salary.
So yeah, that is. So number 2 is number 1, because look at them. All of them have private agents that just tell them what to do. Yeah. So those are the ones with real power. So people should really be looking at those agents who run the show.
Agents are much more powerful than the cosmetic one out in front.
Wow. So like,
you see, Jared, you got it in you. All you need to do is talk it through.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's how I am. Like, I gotta talk to people, and then it like comes out. So I know it's like that is like a good thing when I talk to people, even people who don't, I guess, like know what I know, whatever. But I'll ask them questions, and they'll say things to me that's like astounds me, but they don't even realize what they're saying to me. Because that's why I can't be a hermit, because I actually learn from talking to people in the world.
You don't learn simply from yourself, because you get hints from yourself, and then you got to go out and prove it to yourself. You don't need to prove it to the world. You need to prove it to yourself that something makes sense or doesn't make sense. And to do that, you have to be in touch with other people. Hermits can't do that.
So maybe that was probably a control mechanism that the Neanderthal was using on their own servants, like the early reformers and stuff. Because I hear, like, people, like those reformers and stuff, they were, like the Essenes and stuff like that. These people were hermits and lived in caves. But
they weren't really hermits. They lived as groups of people. And they had basically discussions among themselves. A real hermit lives alone. And a lot of people are hermits part of their day because they meditate. And when you meditate, you're basically taking on the role of a hermit.
Yeah, that word meditate is you're just in the middle. Yeah. You're not fully there.
So, I mean, nature made certain that you didn't need to meditate by making sleep a part of your day. Okay? Go to sleep. Don't need to go meditate. Because the rest of the day, the other 2/3 of your day, you need one for work so that you can accomplish something, not necessarily work for pay. And the other thing is letting go a little bit, a little of relaxation. Most people don't have much relaxation anymore because they have to drive to work. And your boss doesn't include your travel to work as part of your 8 hours you owe to him. So that has to be taken away from your rest and relaxation period that basically allows you to let go of the things that stress you every day and just take it easy.
Oh, yeah, like...
A balance is what's needed. Sleep, rest and recreation, and work.
Yeah, like for me, I need, like my job actually ruins, it takes away so much from me because people say, oh, you like to read, like do all that stuff, do it after work. But when I get off of work, I can't concentrate. I'm so tired. I can't, like, I'm better, like, usually if I want to read sometime, it's usually better in the morning, early, because...
Well, you should always arrange your life so you don't have to spend 2 hours traveling to work and 2 hours traveling back from work. And that means that after work, come home, relax, have a nap, eat supper, and then do your reading.
Oh, yeah, like me, I'm always late to work, Glenn, because I'm just so, and I let it be known, my manager, he kind of hates it. Like my job, you can get away with things, but like I'm always coming late to work, and I'll just tell him, like, I don't want to do this. Like, you should be happy to do this. I look at him like, you kidding me, man? It sucks, man. He's like, no, you're a real man. You work. It's the philosophy of, I guess, slavery. But.
You can work, and you don't have to work for anybody else.
Yeah. Have you ever, how do you handle people, right, you talk to, right, that just can't be wrong about anything when you talk to those type of people? Because that's who I have to deal with, like, my manager at work. Like, I can't even have it's gotten so bad, I think, like, I can't even have a conversation, really, because it's always...
Maybe you should ask him one day to prove the things in a manner that you will understand, not just him, because you can't seem to grasp what he means by, work, your work is good, that type of stuff. If that's the case, would he do it?
He works like an animal.
Yeah, but would he do your job?
Yeah, he does my job. He does, like, what I do, like, everybody, like, he does my job and he does more of it. Like, what I do is pretty simple, like, but he'll do his job is basically, it's not like...
But would he quit what his job is and do your job?
Oh, no. No. He's not getting paid.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. But he does the most hours, he does the most hours out of, because he's on a salary, and he does, like, more than, because he has to run the store, and, like, the owner of the store is not there. He doesn't do anything. He just writes the paychecks and checks stuff. But he has to run the store. Sometimes he'll have to be there, like, from 9 till 8. Sometimes 9, from opening to close, he has to be there sometimes. And he
reminds me of how I used to be when I was a robot. Yeah. I used to run a printing operation, electronic printing, and it was open 24 hours a day. And I felt I had to be there 24 hours a day. But I would end up being there 14 or 16 hours a day, and that would mean I had no time for anything else. And what I discovered along the way is that's like taking a spring or an elastic band and stretching it as far as you can for 16 hours a day and not letting go. And after a while, if you do that to a spring or an elastic band, when you let go, it doesn't go back to its original position. It has atrophied and is unable to move. So at one stage of the game, I said, I got to stop this.
Yeah, because it'll get bad. Like, it reminds me on Friday, I was talking to one guy, a customer came in. He's talking about how he has to go to a psychiatrist, and we were talking about that whole thing. And
you don't have any benefit from going to a psychiatrist.
Of course you don't.
It just adds to your stress to figure out how you're going to pay him.
Yeah, and he was telling me, like, the reason why he was going is because he, like everybody else, they all work, and people lose their jobs, and I guess they start to become, they don't feel sane anymore, I guess, when they don't have their jobs.
You know, what I did was from Friday noon until Monday morning, until Monday noon, I was out of town. I was by a lake, in the woods, clearing paths, making preparations for when I would retire. I would build a community out in a place. It would happen to be in the province of Quebec, close enough to ski hills, close enough to golf courses, that kind of thing. An hour from the city. I had no interest in golf, and I had no interest in skiing, but I just liked the environment of being outdoors.
Yeah.
So clearing the woods, making paths people could walk around in, building a cabin, that kind of stuff. That's where I got off my habit of being at work, at the business, paying business, and I did it in a manner that I just explained, going out into nature. And that's why I ended up here. The only thing I couldn't do in nature while I was running a business was to have animals, because you can't say to the animals, "Sorry, I'm going back to work. see you next Friday." You know? So at the end, when you can retire, then you can add the element that is animals. And between nature and the animals, that's where you really learn. Learn much more under those conditions where your brain is not being stressed every day, every moment, by having to do things for a reason you probably don't even understand, but somebody set up a system that you had to be part of.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're on a farm and you're making paths through the bush, bringing in firewood, cutting grass and smelling the smells and looking at the leaves and the trees and how they change over seasons, and then watching life and death scenarios that happen every day with when you have animals, goats and pigs and chickens, and watching how a donkey makes a lot of noise but does nothing and gets away with it, just like unions.
The only animals I get to watch is squirrels and crows and seagulls. And
they're practically all the same branch of animals.
Yeah.
You've got to diversify a little bit.
Yeah. I think about those people who don't live in like societies like how we live, and like who don't have a concept of what Monday to Friday is. Every day is just another day. Yeah. They must look at it, because even how we look at days is categorized and standardized, and
it's basically addictive, however. And when you're in there and you're doing something that you're being paid to do or whatever, it's addictive. And you want to do the best you can in order to succeed for the owners or whatever. That's not the same feeling you get when you're serving breakfast in bed to a bunch of goats, delivering water to chickens.
When you give them the chicken feed, you say, "Hey, do you enjoy that?"
They don't even appreciate it.
They just take it.
If they take it, they want more. But you live with that, and you see how it basically gives you all kinds of lessons about how things function in nature and in the other world that you left behind. And then you can sit down for an hour or two and talk to somebody from Long Island or California or this afternoon from Slovenia, other times from Scotland, and listen to other people's perspective and exchange yours with theirs and see if there's anything that you should learn.
Oh, yeah. So a guy from Brazil said hello, by the way. I want me to tell you. He said hello.
Yeah, he sent me an email as well. Yeah, it's people who travel all over the world or are born in different places than we are, all have something different to offer.
Yeah, Like I tell those people, like the people that I know, I tell them like, do you think it's like a coincidence that the way your life turned out and the things that you're doing right now, how we're talking right now, more and more every day I just say I believe that it's not like it's not a coincidence. It's almost
it's not a coincidence. It's you had in your spine a recessive program that needed to be filled with current data. And without realizing it, you go through your life seeking it out. And eventually you find the pieces that you can attach. And in some religious communities, they talk about soulmates. Well, it's not much different when part of your life finds an attachment to another person who thinks about the same things you do. Not necessarily thinks like you do, but thinks about the things you think about. And to attach yourself to a group of people who are doing that is one of the most fulfilling parts of life. Take it from a guy who's in his 70th year talking to a guy who's in his, 28th year?
26th. Yeah.
26th year. So the only difference between you and me is I got to hear the story more times than you did. and attached myself to the pieces that fitted as reality in my reason, and then knew that I was merging my intuitive side with my reasoning side and becoming better balanced, an equilibrium that I hadn't expected. And then I'm shocked by looking at the flag of Korea and seeing that they use it as a sign on their flag, and that 69 is the equilibrium number. It's fun. In any event, Gerd,
time for you
nice talking to you.
Yeah.
Nice talking with you, at you, to me.
Yeah. You gotta go serve the Goat Masters tomorrow.
I gotta go prepare myself for tomorrow. What time is it, anyways?
8:18.
8:18. Yeah. Okay.
All right, Glenn.
Talk to you again.
All right.